Building a big back can be an impressive sight and a great way to achieve that all-desired V-taper. But what are the functions of the back and the top exercises to help build it? Let's take a look. Word.
Come join us now for a look into functional strength with buff dudes from a time long ago. The strong will persevere, and in this case, it could not be more true. This cave dude has learned one of the most useful functional movements of the back, the pulling motion. And the other cave dude, well, a tasty snack for a nearby T-Rex.
Let's start with the trapezius upper, middle, and lower fibers. They can take up a large amount of mass on the upper and middle back and are responsible for scapular elevation, rotation, retraction, and depression. You also have the rhomboid major and minor that are found underneath the trapezius and are responsible for keeping the scapula against the thoracic wall and also help retract the scapula. There is also the teres major and minor that work alongside the latissimus dorsi and has multiple origin and insertion points and is responsible for arm adduction and shoulder extension.
The major motion in the back is going to be any kind of pulling motion.
When visualizing the muscles of the back, just think of the many continents of the world coming together to create a whole. But as Douche Bro would say, a lot of little shit coming together to help you lift some big shit.
Exercise number 1 on the list is going to be the king of all compound exercises, the deadlift. If Deadlifts were a metal album, it'd be Master of Puppets. Brutal, uncompromising, and it'll turn you from a dude into a buff dude. The deadlifts is a full body exercise experience, but it works the back and we could not include it in this list. And we can contain about 30 minutes of information alone on the deadlifts, but that's not even the variations of the deadlifts. So right now we're just doing a standard deadlift and we're basically going over the cliff notes of what you have to remember. So what you want to do is walk up to the bar. The bar is going to be placed about midway on the foot, and as you bow forward, you're going to be flexing in the hip joint and bending at the knee, so the bar is almost touching the shin. The hand placement is going to be a little bit wider than shoulder width, just so that way it's placed outside the leg. Once you're in position, the hip joint and the knee joint are not going to be matching up, so it's not at a 90-degree angle. The hip joint is going to be slightly above the knee joint. So that's in that bowing motion. It's going to keep the hamstrings tight. It's going to help stabilize the knee joint throughout the motion. So what you want to do is slightly raise the hips to tighten the hamstrings a little bit more, and then you're going to be doing a pushing motion with the legs and also a pulling motion with the back, keeping that shoulders nice and tight and the lower back contracted and straight. Once you start reaching the top position, you want to extend the hips forward to get that nice locked out position. And once you reach that position, then that's you're going to return it back down to the bottom position. So it's pretty much an exercise where you pick some heavy shit up and then put it down. But damn, does it build that body. Number 2 on our list is going to be the bent over rows, an excellent compound back exercise, which is going to be focusing on building that thickness of the back, giving you that meaty muscle shield. And it's also a great visualization exercise. You can imagine yourself, you're in the galleys, you're rowing to war, and you're about to kick ass. Yeah.
How to perform the bent over rows is what you're going to be doing is bowing forward. So the knees are slightly bent and you're going to be flexing at the hip joint. And what you want to do is take your upper body so that it's about parallel with the floor. You're going to be having about a little bit wider than shoulder grip on the bar, and you're going to be taking that bar and rowing it up to about the belly button and get a nice contraction in the back. The elbows are slightly going to be flaring outside, so you're not only working the lats, but you're also working the traps, the rhomboids, the teres major, teres minor. You're basically working the entire back throughout this range of motion. And it's going to be a lot of work in the rectus spinae muscles too to help stabilize the spine throughout that range of motion. So bring it down in a nice, slow, controlled manner, get a nice stretch, and what you want to do is focus on retracting those shoulders back and bring it up to the top position to get the complete contraction of all the muscles necessary to build that muscle meat shield.
Exercise number 3 on our list is going to be one of our favorite back exercises of all time, the pull-up. It's a great test of overall strength, and if you can even perform one pull-up, you're one big step closer to becoming a buff dude.
What you want to do is walk up to a pull-up bar. You're going to be grabbing the bar with an overhand grip slightly wider than shoulder width. And at a dead hang, what you want to do is depress the shoulders, contracting the traps to help stabilize the shoulders. And as you pull your body up, bending at the elbow, bring the elbows down and back like you're putting them in your back pockets. And that's going to be getting the most contraction out of the lats. This is a perfect exercise to help build those traps and the lats because they're working in unison to make sure you bring that chin above the bar. And once you reach your chin above the bar, you can be slowly letting your body down to the bottom position in a nice slow controlled manner, in a nice eccentric controlled manner, so that way you're working as much fibers in the back as possible. Now this is a difficult exercise, so the more you do it, the better you get. But if you can't complete this exercise, you can always do cable pull downs or inverted rows to make sure you're building that strength up to be able to do your first pull-up.
Exercise number 4 on the list is gonna be the T-bar row. Another excellent back compound exercise, which is gonna be focusing on the lats and that mid-back thickness. Our meat shield is getting thicker and thicker. That kind of turned me on.
So how to perform the T-bar row? We're doing it old school, baby. We're just taking a barbell, shoving it in the corner, and using a towel for our grip. The difference between this T-bar row and the bent over row is that the T-bar row, your elbows are closer to your side rather than flaring out, and also the grip is closer as well. So as in a bent over row, you're working more of the complete back and the upper back, as in the T-bar row, you're working more of the mid back and the lats. So with the same positioning, what you want to do is bend at the hips, the knees slightly bent, and you're going to be taking the chest just about parallel to the floor. So with the grip, you're going to be keeping those elbows nice and tight as you row that weight up just about chest level. Get that nice squeeze, keeping that back nice and straight and flat, and then bring it down to the bottom position, getting that nice stretch. But as you row, making sure you're retracting those shoulders back, you're still getting a little contraction in those traps. By retracting those shoulders back and then rowing it up to the top position, making sure those elbows go nice and high in the process. Get full contraction at all times, and that's the Buff Dude's way.
Last on the list is going to be our only isolation exercise included for back, and that's gonna be the straight arm pull downs. We're gonna be focusing on those lats and giving your muscle shield wings. Whew, airborne buff dudes, watch out.
So what you want to do is step up to a cable machine. Feet are going to be about shoulder width apart. You're going to be grabbing that straight bar just a little bit wider than shoulder. The body is going to be upright, but the hips are going to be pushed back just slightly to create a little bit more stretch in the lats as you perform the exercise. Once you get into position, the elbows are going to be slightly bent but stationary, and you're going to be extending the shoulder joint downwards to the lower body. What you don't want to do is keep the shoulders forward as you're doing this. Make sure you contract them back as you bring the bar down to the bottom position, getting that nice squeeze in the lats and getting the full contraction and benefit of the exercise. Just like Hudson said, you want to build those wings? This is one way to do it. What?
Oh yeah, how do you like that? Gee, lady. Oh yeah, bouncy, juicy, delicious. Oh yeah.
Okay,